In April 2025, a classified launch delay occurred. A comet, not from our solar system, named 3AI Atlas, was racing toward us at 130,000 miles per hour. What the U.S. Space Force did next wasn't announced, wasn't public, but what they discovered shattered expectations. This isn't just space science. It's a potential threat. The truth is unfolding now. The sudden shift, a classified move behind launch doors, began in April 2025. Something odd happened. A scheduled Atlas V rocket launch. A tightly coordinated event typically timed to the second was quietly pushed back. The official reason? Weather concerns and range scheduling conflicts. But to insiders in the aerospace world, the excuse didn't hold water. These launch windows are rarely adjusted without a very specific, often technical reason. This time, no detailed explanation followed. No press briefing, no NASA update, just a delay. Quiet and out of place. That silence was the first red flag. People who track launch schedules for a living, journalists, analysts, even hobbyists, noticed the change. Military launches, especially those involving the Space Force, are incredibly precise. When one suddenly shifts without cause, questions start flying. Was it a glitch, a hidden failure, or something more deliberate? Behind the scenes, something was stirring. The real machinery moving this decision might not have been on Earth at all. Enter the Space Domain Awareness System. The U.S. military's high-tech network of radars, telescopes, and sensors capable of tracking nearly everything in orbit and beyond. Think of it as a giant space surveillance net. It sees things no one else can. Sources suggest SDA may have flagged an incoming object, something large, fast, and completely foreign to our solar system. That object, as we now know, was 3AI Atlas, only the third interstellar visitor in human history. Here's where it gets interesting. That quiet launch delay in April lined up almost perfectly with the object's calculated approach. Some in the defense community believe the launch wasn't delayed to avoid danger, but to prepare. This wasn't about dodging a threat. It was about testing our response to one. Coincidence is the language of the unprepared. Timing is the vocabulary of those who know. This was the first move in a game most people didn't even know had started. At first glance, 3AI looked like a comet. A dusty, icy object glowing faintly against the starfield. But within weeks, astronomers realized they were witnessing something much rarer. Only two other objects like it had ever been seen before. Oumuamua in 2017 and 2I Borisov in 2019. That's it. Out of millions of known asteroids and comets, this was the third confirmed object from beyond our solar system. But this one was different. It was moving faster than anything we've tracked, about 130,000 miles per hour. Its path was retrograde, meaning it was traveling in the opposite direction of every planet in our solar system. That's not just rare. It's almost impossible. This object wasn't looping back around like a normal comet. It was on a one-way trip, in from deep space, through our solar system, and then gone. That's only the start of the puzzle. When NASA pointed the James Webb Space Telescope and other instruments toward it, the results shocked the science world. Its coma, the cloud of gas and dust around its core, wasn't made of water vapor like most comets. It was rich in carbon dioxide with ratios that made no sense. In fact, the chemistry suggested that this object formed in an environment completely different from our own, a place where carbon dominated instead of oxygen. Then came the light. When astronomers studied how sunlight bounced off the dust around 3AI, they found strange polarization patterns, light bending and scattering in ways that don't match any natural material we've studied. Some dust grains appeared to be engineered as if shaped deliberately to reflect light in specific ways. None of this fits the mold. Not the speed, not the trajectory, not the chemistry, not the light behavior. This wasn't just another visitor from space. It was a message in motion, an object that breaks the rules we thought were universal. If this is natural, its nature is showing us just how little we understand. As it barreled toward the inner solar system, the Space Force, NASA, and the world's top observatories dropped everything to follow it. Whatever this thing was, it had everyone's attention. If stories like this fascinate you, make sure to subscribe now so you never miss these deep dive updates. As 3AI Atlas sped toward the sun, it wasn't just astronomers who took notice. Inside locked briefing rooms and secure video calls, a quiet coalition was forming. NASA, The U.S. Space Force, elements of the Navy, and even SpaceX each had a piece of the puzzle. Together they formed a web of response. The Space Force had orbital intelligence, real-time data on objects crossing Earth's neighborhood. NASA had the deep space eyes with telescopes like JWST and Hubble now aimed with urgency. The Navy, with its lesser-known role in signal intelligence and space-based surveillance, had stakes too. SpaceX, with its massive satellite networks and launch infrastructure, could support everything from relays to rapid deployment. What united them wasn't shared curiosity. It was a classified alert. The object wasn't just moving fast. It was showing signs of behavior that couldn't be explained. Some of it was physics. Some of it was something else. It's believed this alliance worked under a hush-hush command directive, where every asset, civilian or military, could be redirected to serve one goal: characterize, monitor, and if needed, respond to 3AI. This wasn't about destroying it. No missile was launched. Intercept missions don't always mean weapons. Sometimes they mean proximity, getting close enough to see what you're dealing with. You don't shoot the unknown. You study it, unless it blinks first. And they did get close. Ground-based telescopes passed observation duties across time zones. JWST paused distant galaxy studies. Even spacecraft orbiting Mars reoriented for a shot at it. All eyes were now on one target, and everyone involved agreed on one thing. This object was no ordinary rock. The engine behind America's quiet space alert system is something most people have never heard of: the Space Domain Awareness Network, or SDA. It's not a telescope or a satellite. It's a global surveillance system that watches everything from flecks of paint in low Earth orbit to hypervelocity objects entering from deep space. SDA's power lies in its reach. Space fence radars on islands like Kwajalein can detect something the size of a baseball moving thousands of miles away. It tracks hundreds of thousands of objects, predicts where they're going, and calculates collision probabilities in real time. When 3AI crossed into the outer solar system, it was instantly on SDA's radar, figuratively and literally. The system didn't just see it. It analyzed it: trajectory, speed, variability, risk. What it saw didn't match any known pattern. The orbit was retrograde and hyperbolic, backward and on a one-way ticket out. The speed was off the charts. The debris field was already forming. This wasn't a passive object. It was active. In space, activity implies energy, intention. That's when SDA triggered a new level of response. According to some defense analysts, 3AI Atlas became a live-fire simulation, a perfect real-world test for what happens when a truly unpredictable object enters near-Earth space. Launches were shifted, trajectories adjusted, satellite collision checks rerun. SDA wasn't just watching, it was reacting. You train for scenarios, but when the real thing shows up, you find out if your systems were ever ready. This wasn't theory anymore. The data coming in was real, and the pressure on the system, Space Force's high-orbit traffic control, was unlike anything before. Once 3AI Atlas moved past the outer planets, SDA radar systems fully locked on. Every hour brought new data. The object wasn't just hurtling through space. It was evolving. Its coma expanded, its tail sharpened, and fragments began to peel off at astonishing velocities. Then came the real move. Space Force initiated an intercept plan, not with weapons, but with sensor packages, an effort to observe and collect as closely as possible. Sources suggest a fleet of Earth-based and orbital instruments was redirected, and at least one classified spacecraft may have shifted orbit to get a closer view. They weren't trying to stop it. They were trying to understand it before it vanished forever. What followed was unprecedented. Telemetry from radar and optical sensors showed fine debris particles accelerating outward, but not in a way typical of cometary outgassing. Some particles were moving in discrete jets, others with varying speeds, implying internal triggers, not just solar heating. Attempts were made to collect leftover debris from Earth's upper atmosphere using high-altitude aircraft and from space-based arrays. These particles were immediately flagged for deep analysis. But a far stranger question emerged during this effort. Was something controlling the activity of 3AI? Changes in brightness occurred in ways that didn't follow physics. Fragment ejection was timed. Even its rotational spin began to behave unusually, as if stabilizing itself. If this object isn't controlled, then nature just pulled off one hell of